Hare Krishna, Part 3, going live again. Sorry about that. For those of you who have chosen to stay with us, I appreciate it. What's the time?
It's not even showing.
So Radhaman keeps coming on, going off, and the normal Airtel Wi-Fi cellular is not working. We had a cassette with a recording of Gurudev singing such a beautiful tune of Hare Krishna, and we had left the cassettes in the care of someone who actually removed that particular cassette, and so we've lost the recording and we have not seen it since. But the tune was so beautiful. It was on a full moon kirtan, and it went something like Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I'm still going to find it, and when I find it, I'll make sure to share it with all of you. I'm not going to sing that tune tonight because I don't know the whole thing. Krishna Krishna Hare Gaur Hari Ki Jai, Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai, Radha Vihari Ki Jai, Hari Ram Sankirtan Ki Jai, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra Ki Jai, Gaur Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari.
So you can see if there are questions that come up. So you can keep an eye on it. Also if it goes off, because
Thank you.
we must be going.
Is the volume off?
Of course.
Okay. Oh, it's nice to see who's there. Dandavat Pranam, all Vaishnavas. Govinda Rupini Didi, Susan Moon,
Kishori, you can name
Jiva
him.
Pavana, Narayan Ashram, Ashtriya, Radhe Radhe,
You missed so many. Don't do that.
Hey, you left them all out.
Jiva Pavana Prabhu. Okay. And all the rest of you who are present that I cannot see. Gopal, Balabhadra. Okay. So we will continue today with going beyond Vaikuntha. But first of all, since there was just a little distraction in my process, let me just offer my Mangalacharana. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namah Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Namam Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Nityanamine Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. First of all, I offer my Dandavat Pranam thousands of times into the dust of our the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev. Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad astottara Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And the same thousands of Dandavat Pranam into the dust of the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad astottara Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And my Dandavat Pranam thousands of times to all of our Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga, and also to all Vaishnavas past, present and future, including all of you who are present today with us. My Dandavat Pranam. So before entering into the going beyond Vaikuntha, this is the beautiful commentary full of transcendental divine emotion from the heart of our Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj on Sri Sanatan Goswami's Brihad Bhagavatamrita, which is the foundational literature of all of the works of our Goswamis. This is what Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada wrote. So, praying in the dust of the lotus feet of our Gurudev and also Sri Sanatan Goswamipada, with the words of Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Vairaga Juga Bhakti Rasam Prayatnai, Apayanan Mam Anubhikshamandam Kripam Budir Yaparaduka Duki Sanatanastam Prabhum Ashnayami, begging in the dust of their lotus feet that may even a particle of their moods, which are present within these pages, manifest within our hearts. Now, Balabhadra Prabhu asked a question yesterday relating to the subject at hand, which was about our final or last birth. And then he wondered, well, what about Gaur Lila? Because we were speaking yesterday about the final birth of any jiva. The final, last birth is in the pastimes of Krishna, in whatever universe, on whatever earthly planet, Bhoma Lila, whatever earthly planet he's performing his pastimes, from the womb of a gopi. And depending on our inherent intrinsic bhav, means the nature of our soul, which is vastu tattva, means it has its own intrinsic, inherent, eternal nature. Not only its makeup, but its nature. Right? There's a makeup, You can say Sat Chit Ananda, what it is made of, but also what its proclivity is, and that is part of the nature of the soul. So, there it was saying, Srila Gurudev was saying, and Sanatan Goswami were saying that after we have attained our Svarup Siddhi, means we have realized who we are in relationship with Krishna as a realization. Realization means that we understand that I am not this body, I am a pure spirit soul, and the particular nature of my relationship with Krishna is such and such. I may be a cowherd boy, I may be a parental figure, I may be like a gopi or maidservant to Srimati Radhika. I will realize and understand that. But then it needs to go one step further, and that is known as Vastu Siddhi. Vastu Siddhi means that the form itself is manifest. That is taking birth from the womb of a gopi into the pastimes of Krishna in any universe, on any earthly planet where he is performing his pastimes. And then from there, when he winds up his pastimes, we also wind up with him and continue onward into what we call Nitya Lila or Aprakat, which means it is unmanifest to our eyes of this world, but it is always eternally going on. These pastimes of Krishna. So Balabhadra Prabhu said, well, what about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? What about Gaur Lila? So there is a reference in the introduction to Brahma Samhita, which was authorized by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. I heard it was actually composed or written by Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, but of course based on what he had received from his Gurudev, because Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada called him Bhakti Rakshak. It means the guardian of devotion. And he said about Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj that I am confident that I have at least one person who can maintain the essence of my teachings. So this is Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj. That's why he called him Bhakti Rakshak, the protector of this line. So it is actually said that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada wrote that, but anyhow he authorized it. Like I've seen also, Srila Gurudev would engage people in doing work for him, translation and even commentaries, but then he himself would go through, he would edit, he would make any adjustment that was necessary, and then he himself would present it. So this is the right of the Guru, because the disciples' relationship with Guru is, I am the instrument for the service of my Gurudev. No disciple can go out and take credit for anything. They always hand the credit to their Gurudev. And then their Guru also hands the credit to their Gurudev. So, in the case of this Sri Brahma Samhita, in the introduction, there it is written, in the old version, that little black book, remember the black book? In that old version, Sri Brahma Samhita, in that introduction, it starts with the materialistic demeanor cannot possibly stretch. So we've all heard this. Srila Prabhupada, in his famous address on the meaning of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he's reading it. The materialistic demeanor cannot possibly stretch to the transcendental autocrat. So this is the beginning of that. And Srila Prabhupada is reading from there. So in there it is speaking about the speciality of those who are coming into the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at this time. And said this, it is specifically said that the speciality of those who are coming into this line is that, and it is inconceivable, but yet acceptable, in the same way that it is inconceivable that we might be manifest unlimitedly in all of the pastimes of the Lord in unlimited universes simultaneously, and that the Lord himself is also manifested unlimitedly in every particle of all creation. In that same kind of way, it is stated that those who come to the path of bhakti in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will attain in their eternal swarups, even as they're fixed or sthayi bhav, two simultaneous forms, one in Gaur Lila and one in Radha Krishna Lila. The process by which this takes place has been spoken by Srila Narottam Das Thakur in the Bhajan Gaurangir Dutipada Jaradhana Sampara. Gaura prema rasarnave se tarange jevadube se radha madhava antaranga. Diving deep into the ocean, into the waves of Gaur prema, or as our Guru Varga would say, diving deep into the Ganga. One will surface in the Jamuna in the association of Shri Shri Radha Madhav. Now how is this possible? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is who? Radha Bhava Dyuti Subalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. He is Krishna himself, but completely absorbed, completely covered, drenched in, completely encapsulated in the bhavs, the moods of Srimati Radhika's love and affection for Krishna, manifesting externally also as her duty, which is her complexion. So Radha Bhava Duty Subalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. Because Krishna is absorbed in the mood of Srimati Radhika, he is manifested, he's absorbed in the moods of Gaurangi. Srimati Radhika, Gaurangi means golden limbs or golden form. Then he also has manifested this form of Gauranga. Shri Sachinandan Gaura Hari Ki Jai. So, this question that Balabhadra asked, how is it possible? So I have not actually read or seen how exactly it takes place that one is manifesting in Gaur Lila and Radha Krishna Lila. But according to what I read in Sri Brahma Samhita, there it is said that one finally attains to simultaneous forms. So you will be present serving in Sachinandan Gaur Hari's or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Kirtan in the eternal Navadvip Dham. So that would be Sachinandan Gaur Hari, Bhavuk Nimai. This Navadvip Dham is the eternal, transcendental pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the most sweet, intimate aspect. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he is in Gambhira, he is absorbed in his own very private experience. But there in Navadvip, after having received initiation from Sri Ishwar Puripad, there Nimai Pandit became known as Bhavuk Nimai. Means full of transcendental emotion, always weeping, crying, and calling out the names of Krishna, engaging all others in hearing about Krishna and chanting the names of Krishna. So these Navadvip pastimes are said to be the original or the eternal pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Sachinandan Gaurahari. And in Krishna Lila, there is Krishna in Vrindavan. We also know that there is Krishna in Dwarka, Krishna in Mathura, but they are not the same Krishna. This was shocking to me when I heard this. Actually, I read it. I was supposed to be studying in university, but instead of studying the books that I was supposed to be studying for school, I started looking at books of architecture, and then I started looking at Vaishnava books. And it was quite interesting. I pulled one book out. I didn't know where it was from, but I was reading it, and there it was talking about Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I was quite excited. It was in my university library. And there it said, actually the Krishna of Vrindavan is not the same as the Krishna in Mathura or the Krishna in Dwarka. And I was, at that time, a bit miffed, disappointed. What? Of course it's the same Krishna. Until I heard that same statement come from the mouth of my Gurudev as he was reading Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then I read it in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and there it was. Not only the verse saying that, but Prabhupada's commentary on it. And I was like, oh my God, it's been in front of me my entire life and I didn't know this? The Krishna in Mathura and Dwarka is an expansion of Krishna in Vrindavan, but they're not considered the same, especially not in terms of rasa vichar, the conceptions of rasa. So this was something quite eye-opening for me. It is not the same. There it says, Krishnonyo Vasudeva. The Vasudeva Krishna is not the same as Brajendranandan Shyamasundar Krishna. Vrindavana Parityaja Padamekam Nagachati. That Vrindavan Krishna never steps 1 foot outside of Vrindavan. Never one step. Never takes 1 footstep outside of Vrindavan. How? It was mind-blowing for me. But there it was. And there it is. That is the Siddhanta and the Tattva proclaimed by the powerful Mahabhagavat generals, the Acharyas coming in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Rupa Goswami. Very directly and strongly stated. And then all evidence is given for it in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, according to Sri Narottam Das Thakur and according to our Vaishnava Acharyas, without taking shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one will never be able to attain the shelter of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. So it appears that at the time of Gopkumar, things may have been different. But now, at this time, the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is the current avatar. And his process of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, imbued with Braja Prem, is the process of yajna, or the process by which one can please the Lord, and the process by which one can also attain perfection. Harinam Sankirtan, Yajna Sankirtana Prayar, Yajantihi Sumedhasa. And those who are intelligent will accept that process. So, okay. Yes, but I was thinking about his manifest pastimes, Kishori Mohan. Do we go there before we attain perfection? So I'm building up to this point. We have seen in the life of Raghunath Das Goswami what our process is. He is our Prayojan Acharya. Prayojan means the one who is showing us by his own example the process of how to attain to the goal. And what is that process? So Raghunath Das Goswami is here in this world as a sadhak. He's teaching us even how to be so one-pointed and exclusive. Kata mukti vyagra. I don't want to hear even the kata of mukti, liberation. This is like a wide open mouth of a tiger which will devour me. Even, this kata of Lakshmi Pati Vyomanayanim means Vaikuntha kata. But to speak of that, I don't want to go any place where Radhika is not. Shunyaitam Mahagoshtam. Even in separation from Srimati Radhika, I feel the entire universe is vacant. Govardhan appears like a large python. Big snake. How he's so one-pointed and exclusive to his Swamini, Srimati Radhika. So he's showing us by this. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he ran to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu said, go home. Don't be like a crazy person, a mad person. You should be at home and you should practice internally. Externally, be like normal in the world so no one can detect what's going on inside. But you should develop this mood internally. Really, this is training for the mood of the gopis. They also have to be home, right? Doing all of their household duties, churning yogurt to make butter, taking care of children, cooking for their husbands, cleaning the house, doing all of the household work that they normally do, collecting water from the wells and whatever the gopis were doing. But yet in their mind and in their heart, what are they thinking? Only of Krishna. Exclusively. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent Raghunath Das Goswami home. But he told him, Brajay Radha Krishna Manasa Seva Koribe. Always remembering and serving Radha and Krishna within the core of your heart, within your mind. When that is becoming strong and very focused and developed, then Krishna will make all arrangements for you. So he actually told him, don't engage in Markata Vairagya, means false renunciation. And Srila Prabhupada has commented on Markata Vairagya. Markat means false, or there's one guy outside. If I step outside, it doesn't matter what time of the day or night, there's a beggar who runs up to me and just starts screaming money. It doesn't matter what time it is. I've never seen him chant, I've never seen him doing, just running up to me and like really pressuring. And I'm like, just give it some time. I'll take care of you in 20 minutes or half an hour. He'll sit there and wait for that money for however long it takes. And then if he sees me again that same day, he'll run up to me and ask for more. It looks like he's renounced, but from the external perspective, he is really focused on money. Constant. This is why I'm thinking about market vairagya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Prabhupada is telling that market vairagya, you put on the dress of a renunciant, someone who is renounced, but you're only absorbed day and night in Kanaka, Kamani, and Pratishta, collecting money, enjoying and increasing your position. They go from person to person begging, please give me sannyas, give me sannyas, give me sannyas. I remember in 1998 or so, maybe it was 96, one dude, is there?
Okay.
His nice Ray-Ban glasses, and he was walking all cool, you know, strutting, right down the center of the road. And he had a very young female attendant holding his books with her sari on, walking behind him, very humbly. She must have been, what, 18, 17 at the time. And I was like, ooh, this doesn't look good. And then within a week, no one ever saw him again. He was just gone. So this is what may be considered marketa vairagya. It's not real renunciation. When that renunciation happens in the heart, then Krishna makes all of the necessary arrangements. It's not something that we have. Krishna says, 10 people working for us full time, but we realized the futility of the whole thing and began to take shelter more deeply of the instructions of Gurudev and endeavored personally to follow. We didn't make any extraneous endeavor, but the next time Gurudev saw us, he just changed our entire life. He said, I don't want you there, I want you traveling and preaching. And we were just like, what? But we have all these obligations. And then he saw us again in Australia, and he asked Sudevi, where are you going next? And she said, well, we're going back to Fiji where we live, Gurudev. He said, I don't want you in Fiji. I want you traveling and preaching with Vishaka. Where is Vishaka? She's in England where she lives with her husband, Gurudev. I don't want her in England. I want her traveling and preaching with you. The point I'm trying to make is, we did not say, Gurudev, I want to do this or that. We were only making our own personal endeavor, and he took that personal internal endeavor and he made the adjustment. And so I'm using this as a practical, experiential example that when the time is right, then Krishna will make the arrangements. It's not necessarily that we have to make that arrangement. We should make the arrangement inside to really endeavor to follow. First, the general instruction of Guru. We receive the same question again and again and again and again. I would say hundreds, if not thousands of times over the last 20 years as we've been traveling around the world. The same question comes, but I want a personal instruction from my Guru. Then the question comes back, have you endeavored to follow the general instruction of your Gurudev? And they're like, well, no. So then, if we can't endeavor to follow the general, why would we expect individual personal instruction? First, we should try to follow the general instruction. Then when Guru sees you're making an endeavor, then he will give some push. Go on, go on, go on, like that. So first, we need to make our own internal endeavor. And this is what Mahaprabhu told Raghunath Das Goswami. Braje Radha Krishna Manasa Seva Koribe. Always remember Radha and Krishna and serve them within your mind and heart. But don't be like crazy in the world. Outside, everyone should feel everything is like normal. This is the nature of someone who's in love with someone else. Rupa Goswami gives this example in Sri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. What's the example? Just as a housewife who's obsessed with her beloved outside of her house is constantly absorbed in thinking of him, meditating on him, obsessed with him. Because of that, everything at home goes on even better. The house is better, the food is cooked nicely, the sweetness, the kindness, the sweet words and everything, so that no one can detect the mood in the heart. In that same way, one should also develop their love and affection for Krishna. That I'm at home, I'm in my situation. But what happens? If you're in love there, your attachment for everything else becomes less significant or even insignificant at times. And really, when we have complete obsession, one-pointed exclusive obsession with Krishna, then everything else in this material world, all relationships, all attachments, all considerations will be completely rendered insignificant. Ar kabe nitai chander koruna hoibe sangsarabashanamor kabe tuccha habe. By the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. So this is the next point. By the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. Ar kabe nitai chander koruna hoibe. When will he give me his mercy? Then sangsarabashanam. My entire material existence, samsara means since time without beginning, rotating through billions and trillions of births, diseases, old ages and deaths and viruses and hoaxes and truths and lies and everything else, good, bad and ugly, everything, my entire material existence, samsara will be rendered insignificant. Amazing. By taking shelter of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, who manifests into our life, Srila Gurudev said, as Shri Guru. Akhanda Guru Tattva Nityananda Prabhu manifests in our life in the form of our Gurudev. So, Raghunath Das Goswami, he was at home. He was following the order of Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu said, when the time is right, Krishna will make all arrangements. So all arrangements were made. Raghunath Das Goswami's greed was growing because he was in that situation. It was burning in him. So much so that arrangements were made by which he was able to go see Sri Nityananda Prabhu. From a distance, he was hiding, seeing Sri Nityananda Prabhu, who was surrounded by hundreds of beautiful Vaishnavas. And Nityananda Prabhu was there sitting, glowing beautiful like millions of moons. At that time, Nityananda Prabhu saw Raghunath at a distance. Oh, Raghunath! Raghunath, come here! Only a thief stays far in the distance, hidden like this. Why did he call him a thief? He told Raghunath, you have tried to steal my property. What is my property? You went to steal that. Don't you know you have to come to me first? You cannot steal my property. So Raghunath went to the feet of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, offered his full dandavat pranam. And Nityananda Prabhu did what? He placed his two lotus feet on the head of Raghunath Das. At that time, Raghunath Das's heart and everything else, sangsarabashanamor, kabe tuccha habe. Everything else, all other considerations completely disappeared. And then Nityananda Prabhu gave him his mercy completely and engaged him in doing what? Now you should serve all of the Vaishnavas with whatever you have at your disposal. So a big festival ensued. This was known as Chidda Dahi Festival or Panihati. Raghunath Das Goswami served and arranged to please and serve all of the Vaishnavas. Thousands came and they all had a big festival and he served all of them. Then by the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, he was given into the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't keep him either. Immediately he gave him into the shelter of his most trusted Sri Sarup Damodar Goswami, who in Krishna Lila is Lalita Sakhi. So then Raghunath Das Goswami from that point became known as Swaruper Raghu. Why? Krishna himself says, who says they are my devotee? They're not really my devotee. But who is the devotee of my devotee? They are my real devotee. And Mahadev says, Aradhananam sarvesham vishnur aradhanam param tasmat parataram nevis tadiyanam samarchanam. Of all forms of worship, worship of the Supreme Lord, Vishnu or Krishna is the highest. But, tasmat, parataram devi, more than that, parataram, more than that, para means the supreme, even the higher or the highest form of pleasing the Lord, tadiyanam samarchanam. If you serve some archanam, if you serve that person who is near and dear to the Lord. That's why in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's line, we don't just go directly to the Lord, but our mood is Gopi Bhaktu Patakamalayur Dasa Dasa Anudasa. That I am the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. who is the beloved of the gopis. Very interesting. This mood is there coming in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's line. All the Vaishnavas have understood this perspective. So Raghunath Das Goswami is our Prayojan Acharya. He's showing us the path. First, internally crying and praying. Then taking shelter of Sri Guru. And continuing all the while with that internal bhajan. Then going under the guidance of Sri Lalita Sakhi. In our path, in our line, who is, or what is our goal? Very specific goal. What is Rupa Anuga? Specifically, it's to become or to realize, to be a Palyadasi or a maidservant of Srimati Radhika in the group of Lalita Sakhi under the guidance of Sri Rupa Manjari. So that is our goal. So our acharyas have all said, without taking shelter of Mahaprabhu, you will not attain the shelter of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. It is not possible. Srila Gurudev explained a very interesting tattva in this regard. The interesting tattva, he said, is as we are progressing on the path of bhakti, then it may be that we will take birth closer to the time, or at the time, of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, and attain his association. And then we may take birth at the time of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and attain his association. And then we may take birth at the time of, this means going to any universe where those pastimes are going on, and attain the association of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and then Narottam Das Thakur, and then into the association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So if we look at it from an interesting perspective, who knows where we were thousands of lifetimes into the future? Who knows where we were thousands of lifetimes into the future? Yes, I said that correctly. How much have we progressed to come only 540 years from the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu under the direct guidance of Brajrasik Acharya, Sri Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, or Jagat Guru, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. How amazing is that? Someone asked Gurudev, who is Prabhupada in Gaura Lila? He's like, isn't it obvious? Look at. Mahaprabhu said, Sarvatra Prachar Hoibe Moranam. My name will be spread in every town and village of this world. Who has done that? He said, that is his form in Gaura Lila. We have attained the association or the darshan or initiation from that person who is present in his Gaura Lila pastime. How close are we coming? That should be a sign of the most amazing, intense. It should bring the most amazing happiness, inspiration, and greed to attain that perfection. Just thinking about that. Where have I come from to come into the association of Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Shriram Maharaj, Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. So many of these wonderful, amazing, powerful personalities. And where will I go? And one day I will come into the association of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, who will give me his mercy. Then I will attain the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya, who is not different from Radha and Krishna themselves. And he will put me in the guidance of Sri Lalita Sakhi, in that group, in the form of Sarup Damodar Goswami. And then I will be under the guidance of Rupa Goswami. As Raghunath Das Goswami also came under the guidance of Rupa Goswami subsequently. He came to Vrindavan under the guidance of Rupa and Sanatan. This is our process, this is our path. And then from this deep, deep bhajan, what does Mahaprabhu want us to do? Mahaprabhu wants us to attain perfection in Radha and Krishna's Leela. So how do we serve Mahaprabhu? by endeavoring and crying and praying and doing bhajan for that. Right? Anarpita charing chirad, Rupa Goswami is writing. Anarpita charing chirad kurunayavatinna kalo samarpayitum unato jvala rasang svabhakti shriyam hari purata sundara dyuti kadamba sandipita sada hridaya kandare spuratu vashachi nandana. May Shri Shachinandan, Gaura Hari, be situated within the deepest cavern, the deepest part, the core of our heart. This is what he is praying. That person who has not appeared in what seems like forever, to bestow the most amazing thing which has not been bestowed in the history of anyone's memory previously. Samarpayitum. What is that? Unata ujvala rasam svabhakti shriyam. To awaken within the hearts of the jivas who have that capacity, the desire and the mood of serving Radha and Krishna within the Nikunjas of Vrindavan. Nikunja yunoratikeli siddhyai yayalibir yuktir apekshaniya tatrati dakshyad atiballabhasya bande guru shri charanaravindam. Under the guidance of those who are the maidservants of the gopis, specifically. This is Unata Ujjvala Rasang Svabhakti Shriyam. So by the mercy of Mahaprabhu, who is coming in this world in the form of Jagat Guru, he is bringing us into the service of Radha and Krishna. So this is confirmed again by Narottam Das Thakur's statement in this bhajan, Gaurangera Dutipada Jara Dhana Sampara Gaura Prema Rasaranabe Se Tarange Jevarube Se Radha Madhava Antaranga. I'll just find it here. Gaurangera Dutipada, page 74. Also, we understand that by calling out the names of Sachinandan Gaurahari, Gauranga and Nityananda, this purifies the heart of so many anarthas, so that when we do call out the names of Radha and Krishna, we may be able to contact or serve them purely. So this is also part of our process. So here he's also saying, Shri Gaura let me just read the full translation. It's very, very powerful. This was one of Srila Gurudev's favorite bhajans. Gaurangera Dutipada Jara Dhana Sampara. Usually Gurudev would kind of just have us do one line of each bhajan, and then sometimes he would say, okay, let's wind it up. On this one specifically, whenever he would have Sudevi sing it, he would just look at her and he would just chew. And she knew it means sing each line twice. Then he would close his eyes and just sing along. And it didn't matter if it took 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Very, very deep, very intense meditation he had during this bhajan. And it was very obvious. Twice each. Twice each. That person for whom the two lotus feet of Sri Gauranga are his wealth and property knows the essence of bhakti rasa. That person for whom the sweet pastimes of Gauranga have entered the ears is pure in heart. Within one who takes Gauranga's holy names, prema arises. I heartily glorify such a person. To one whose eyes stream tears in appreciation of Gauranga's transcendental qualities, the divine couple's eternal pastimes become manifest. So here, whose eyes stream tears in appreciation of Gauranga's transcendental qualities, the divine couple's eternal pastimes become manifest. Such a person is qualified for bhakti. One who reveres Gauranga's personal associates as eternally perfect souls goes to the transcendental abode of Brajendra Sutta, the son of the king of Braj. One who reveres Gauranga's personal associates as eternally perfect souls goes to Vrindavan in the association of Krishna. One who knows the land of Sri Gauramandal, this is Navadip Dham, to be spiritual touchstone, achieves residence in the land of Braj, achieves residence in Vrindavan. One who dives into the waves of the ocean of Gaur Prem becomes a confidential associate of Sri Sri Radha Madhava in Vrindavan. Whether a person lives in his home as a householder or in the forest as a renunciant, if he exclaims, Ha Gauranga, Narottam Das begs for his association. So this is a very, very telling and very deep bhajan by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. So I'm going back to the beginning part of what I was just speaking previously, that we will attain forms, eternal forms in both. But our acharyas have said that first we need to secure the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Guru, Nityananda Prabhu and Mahaprabhu. And then by their mercy, by diving deep into the ocean or the waves of Gaur Prem, one will enter into the pastimes of Radha and Madhava in Vrindavan. That is our process coming in this line of Srila Rupa Goswami. Gopkumar's transition is unique. Gurudev explained that that is not our process. We're not hoping to take that path. The whole point of hearing the katha of Gopkumar's very, very lengthy process to attain perfection, the whole point of it is to avoid the pitfalls which will slow our eternal seva. Slow the connection or stunt the progress of that. So we hear about all of his transition, how he's going from here to there, becoming the king of Jagannath Puri, then becoming Lord Indra, then becoming Lord Brahma, then becoming Rudra, then becoming entering into the Brahma Jyoti, then going to Vaikuntha, then from there going to Ayodhya, then from there going to Dwarka, then from there coming back to Vrindavan, here, then doing more bhajan, then finally attaining perfection. So he's taking millions and trillions of years, and Narayan is telling him, what's wrong? I tried in so many ways, but you just didn't do anything. You wouldn't chant, you wouldn't circumambulate a temple by accident in any of your births. So I had to take special extra steps for you. This is what Srimad Narayan told Gopkumar. So Gurudev explained that the process of Gopkumar's transition and travels is not the process which we are hoping to take. Ours is a very shortcut process given by Rupa Goswami in the 8th verse of Upadeshamrita. Tannama rupa charitari sukirtananu smrityo kramena rasanama nasinyojya tishtham brajaytad anuragi jananugami kalam nayad akilam ityupadesha saram. That the essence of all advice is that one should reside in Vrindavan 24 hours a day without cessation under the guidance of a pure Braja Rasik Anuragi Vaisnava who has that mood that you are aspiring for, means what is the nature of your soul, will be nourished by that association. And doing what 24 hours a day? Tannama Rupa Charitari Sukirtananu. Always doing Sukirtan means with intense transcendental emotion. Always doing kirtan of Krishna's names, forms, qualities, and pastimes. Smrityo Kramena. And remembering, Kramena means in sequence, the transcendental pastimes of Krishna. So this is our hope, our aspiration, our goal, our everything. The essence of all advice given to us by our Srila Rupa Goswami. And we are praying in the dust of the lotus feet of those persons who are known as Rupanugas, that may we one day also be included within that line of those who are known as true followers of Srila Rupa Goswami. In the Upadeshavali of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, it's on page, here it is. It used to say something about Srila Rupa Goswami here. Number 16. The foot dust of Sri Rupa Goswami, the fulfiller of Sri Chaitanya Dev's inner desires, is our life's sole desired object. So, very interesting how all of it comes together. Let me just see, is there any question that is given since then? Do we at any point in our sadhana see Mahaprabhu's sannyasi lila? Sorry for my impatience. It may be that we see his sannyasi lila when he is performing his pastimes in any earthly plane, because we see that he's also performing the sannyasi lila. But in aprakat, we might not see that. The sannyasi lila is something which is happening on the prakat plane, but not necessarily in the aprakat. In the same way that here you might see that it appears that Krishna leaves Vrindavan with Akrur, and then the gopis are in separation from him, which seems like eternity. But in aprakat, Braj, you don't see that Krishna is leaving that realm. So there's some kind of enhanced moods within the transcendental divine lila or drama of the Lord as he is performing them in these pastimes in any universe. So this is a very deep subject that will actually go forever. I did want to read for a few minutes from this book. Is that okay? I hope you're satisfied by what I have spoken, and I will endeavor to look more deeply into it. Very exciting subjects. Really, thank you so much for your questions, Balabhadra Prabhu. So, Srila Gurudev was asking, how can we harmonize? Because some are saying that only Nam-Sankirtan is necessary, and some are saying, but others have attained perfection just through chanting their mantra, so which one is it? And so Gurudev is explaining here that how or where is perfection attained? It depends on where sadhana is practiced. Sadhana is practiced from the human form. Labva sadurlabhamidam bahusambhavante manusham artadam anityam apihadhira. Only from the human form can one endeavor for perfection, not from any other form. The demigods are too absorbed in enjoying the results of all of their previous good activities, their punya. So because of that, because of their high birth, their wealth, their education, and their bodily beauty, they have some disqualification for bhakti. And any other species of life also, they're absorbed too much in instinct, maybe even suffering too much to be able to endeavor in bhakti. But the human platform, and that doesn't mean every human, it means the humans who are somehow within a state of balance to a certain extent, they are able to endeavor for bhakti. That's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita about the nature of yogis. If you want to do yoga, then you have to be somewhat balanced. Don't eat too much or too little. Don't sleep too much or too little. Also, this means not too much mental anguish. In the introduction or the first purport to Upadeshamrita by Radharaman Goswami of Radharaman Parivar, our Guru Varga have placed his commentary in this Upadeshamrita book by Srila Rupa Goswami. There he's quoting one verse, Shoka Marshadi Girbhavaya. From there it is saying that how can Mukunda ever rest peacefully within the heart that is always full of lamentation and so distracted? How can he rest? How can he remain in that place? So some kind of semblance of stability needs to be manifest so that we can actually be considered human enough to endeavor for perfection. Otherwise, if one is only in survival mode, it is considered not different than animals. Even Srimad Bhagavatam talks about those who are not endeavoring to use their life, their human form for the purpose of bhakti, are considered dvipada pashu. Means no different than two-legged animals. Because if you're only engaged in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, then what's the difference? We all know that humans are another form of animal. It's another species of life. And if you're only engaged in doing those things, then it's not different than animal life. So according to our Shastra, they don't define human by the body, but they define human by what activity one undertakes within the particular body toward the attainment of perfection. That's why in the first chapter of Jaiva Dharma, Bhaktivedanta Thakur speaks about the unfurling. there's the closed or the fully closed state, then slightly budding state, more blossom, fully blossomed state of consciousness. And he defines humanity by that. Even our Srila Prabhupada would define humanity as specifically those who are at least coming to the point of avoiding very gross, simple activities like killing animals, what we call the four regulative principles. He calls them the four regulative principles of human life. So it's interesting how our acharyas see these words versus how we see these words. We think humanity means everyone that has a face that's similar to ours and a body shape that's similar to ours. They see these words a little bit differently. So it's important to understand their concept. When we are speaking about the subjects which they speak about, it's important to somehow develop the mindset to think along the lines of their mindset, their thought process, to contextualize the concepts that they're providing to us. So, Srila Gurudev was explaining that there's no necessity for our Diksha mantra when we have attained perfection or our Vastu Siddhi up until the time of awakening our Swarup Siddhi, means realizing internally who we are. Then maybe our mantra is necessary. But once we are in the womb of a gopi in any form of Vrindavan where Krishna is performing his pastimes, when we are born from that time, we're not going to be chanting our mantra anymore, our Diksha mantra. Rather, the personification of our Diksha mantra will be manifest in front of us as Krishna himself, that form who we will reciprocate our love and affection with according to our intrinsic bhav and our intrinsic nature. So saying that Gopal will take one to Golok Vraj is correct. Gopal mantra, sorry. Gopal mantra will take one to Golok Vraj. This is correct. It will bring us to the entrance, and then we will enter, and then all of the activities of the mantra will cease. Both ideas in regard to the mantra are correct. But without the Gopal mantra, and the Kama Gayatri, will our sadhan be complete with only Nam Sankirtan? This is where we ended yesterday. Will it be complete with only Nam Sankirtan? Gurudev here is saying no. That's quite interesting. Wait, but it says Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam Eva Kevalam. There's no other way. It's the only way. Hare Nam. So why are you saying that we also need Diksha mantras? Because if you're actually calling out Hare Nam with sincerity, then Hare Nam Prabhu, Krishna himself, will manifest to you in the mercy form, his own mercy form, as Sri Guru. Sri Guru will give you your Diksha mantras, which will nourish your Hare Nam to perfection. So it's all part of the same process. You cannot say that I'm going to only do this and then reject all of what it's going to give me to help me to attain it. Does that make sense? Krishna, please help me. Okay, I've sent you a car. No, I won't take the car. Krishna, please help me. Right? So we're calling out to Krishna with Harinam. Krishna, please help me, please save me. Okay, I'm going to send you Guru. Guru is the captain of your boat. He's going to take you over the ocean of birth and death. Right? Shri Guru Khandari. He's going to take you across this ocean of birth and death. No, I don't want to take the boat and I don't want to take any Guru. But I just sent you, right? So you see where the problem comes. Harinam, Krishna's name, by calling out to him for mercy, he will send us Guru, he will send us association. Sadhu Sangha Nam Kirtan Bhagavat Shravan Maturava Shrimurtir Shradhaya Sevan. All of these processes will bring us to our pure connection, our eternal transcendental connection with Sri Harinam Prabhu himself, our Ishtadev, the particular Gopal who is the Lord of our heart. Let me just finish the paragraph. So here, without Gopal Mantra and Kam Gayatri, will our sadhan be complete with only Nam Sankirtan? No. because by Nam Sankirtan alone, we will not be able to chant Shuddha Nam. That means the pure name. By Nam Sankirtan alone, we will not be able to chant the pure name of Krishna. As Bhaktivedanta Thakur says, Ekaki Amar, on my own, Nahi Pai Bal, I have no strength, Harinama Sankirtane, I cannot chant the pure name of Krishna. Then he says, O Vaisnava Thakur, Tumi Kripa Kori, please give me your mercy. Shraddha Bindudiya, give me just one drop of faith. Deho Krishna Namadhane, give me the wealth of Krishna's name. So first, from the influence of the mantra, the Diksha mantra, Sambandha Gyan will come, means knowledge of our relationship with Krishna will come. And then we will feel a particular devotional sentiment within us. And finally, our eternal Svarup, our eternal form, our intrinsic inherent nature and form of service to Krishna will arise. After this, by becoming deeply absorbed in Nam Sankirtan, everything will be completed. So, we will continue from this point tomorrow. Thank you. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai. Going Beyond Vaikuntha ki jai, Sri Sanatan Goswamipada ki jai. I just want to see here. Okay. So, Jiva Pavana Prabhu writes, I honestly don't know. Oh, that's to someone else. Raghava Pandit, to see the world as they see the world. It is called Anupashyati. Yes, I know Srila Govinda Maharaj spoke about these subjects very clearly. It is clearly mentioned in the 6th mantra that one should observe or systematically see. This means that one must follow the previous acharyas, the perfected teachers. I think this is called Shastra Chakshusha or Acharya Chakshusha, to see from their perspective. Anupashyati is the exact Sanskrit word used in this connection. Anu means to follow and pashyati means to observe. Thus the word anupashyati means one should not see things as he does with his naked eye, but should follow the previous acharyas. We also hear that when we come to the Dham, we should not see with our eyes, but we should see with our ears, according to how we are hearing about the qualities, the glories of the Dham from the lips of the pure devotees. We must be under guidance. So the rest of you can also read that beautiful quote that Sri Raghava Pandit Prabhu has posted. Actually, that's from Ishopanishad, verse 6 purport. Interesting. So thank you very much for your additions, for your inspiration, for your questions, for your participation. Srila Gurudev ki jai. I just lost my place. Would you like to read?
My voice, okay. I can.
Sarkar ki jai, Bhagavatamrita ki jai, Prabhupada Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Sachidananda Gaur Hari ki jai, Radha Manohari Ji ki jai, Radha Manohari ki jai, Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So thank you all very much for being with us today. Pardon that little laugh out. We had a drummer technical issue. It's a technical issue. We look forward to being with all of you tomorrow and continuing with going beyond Vaikuntha. So we'll see you tomorrow. Our Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe.
Dandavat Pranam. Radhe Radhe. Hare Krishna.